All right, well, I took my retainer out for this. New format. All right, what we gonna do for this video, let me know what y'all think in the comment section because we're doing something a little bit different. We beat Mafia. I just want to have a discussion with y'all. What I'm going to do, though, there are going to be some clips that I show y'all that coincide with what I'm saying so y'all can get a better feel for exactly how it looks because some stuff I can show y'all better than I can tell y'all.
Signore, step forward.
Oh, shit!
Nowhere!
Die, please, God! No! Please! No!
First of all, Mafia is only $50. I don't know why, because this is the company that makes 2K, GTA. When I look up, and I'm like, $50, I'm like, what y'all got going on, bruh? But I was not mad after I finished the game. I will tell y'all that. Lengthwise, you're looking at a game that's about 8 to 12 hours long. Trophy hunters, achievement hunters, you're looking at 12 to 15 hours if you're trying to get all the achievements. If you do want to get all the achievements in one playthrough, you have to play the game on hard. And listen when I tell you, the game, and this come from me, I'm ass. The game is not hard at all. Only died like 2, maybe 3 or 4 times. 2 of the times I died because there's a section where a guy is sniping from a church tower and you have to like sneak up.
Joy Enzo!
Mother. The story. The story is the strong suit of the game. 100%. Now, we're going to try to be as spoiler free as we can. I'm just giving y'all a quick summary of what happens in the game. Basically, you start off the main character that you are using. His name is Enzo. He is what they call, I believe, a carusu. You're going to hear that all throughout the game, which seems like just a slave, an indentured slave laborer.
Stick your nose where it does not belong again, and you just might lose it. Huh?
So something happens, one thing leads to another. He escapes, and then that's where kind of where the story starts. I'm just going to leave it right there. I will say, character-wise, with Enzo, I wasn't really as connected with him in the beginning, but once I got halfway, or even a little more than halfway, I really, really liked Enzo. There was a couple of the characters that they wrote really well that I was connected with. Really good voice acting on here. Look, I'm not Italian. I don't know if the accents were perfect or anything like that, but I think they did a really, really good job with the voice acting, the character development. A lot of the characters were well written. You understood the motivations for, you know, and why everything happened pretty much for any of the bigger characters in the game. But it's a Mafia game. Sometimes shit go left.
It was a caporegime, Cesare.
It was a sole G. Rat.
We can't leave him here.
Let's talk about graphics. Graphics is always a little sensitive because depending on who you are, graphics may be a deal breaker for some people, and for other people it might not be. Typically for me it's not. I routinely play games still from PS2, you know, old Xbox, whatever I get my hands on. I play indie games that don't look that great. As long as the gameplay is there, I can really get over dealing with graphics. They don't hurt my eyes. I know some people say, oh, graphics hurt my eyes. So, you know, also part of the issue with these consoles, the PS5, the Xbox Series X, is most of the games are also available on last gen. So there's only been a handful of games that I've played all generation that I looked like and I felt like, damn, I'm on the PS5, I'm on the new Xbox. Because of the way it looked, we gonna keep it real, bro. I thought it was available on PS4 and all that, and on Wikipedia says it's not. So either I got some bad information, or this shit should be compatible with the last generation, because it's not. The graphics are not going to wow you. I will say The cutscenes might. Cutscenes look really, really good. Character models look great. The like the characters look really lifelike. The muscles in their face, everything looks real. And we play games where they didn't. But on this game, the rendered cutscenes, the cinematics look amazing.
You know how it works, so you're the man in charge. This will make you a very rich man, Enzo. You have everything you ever wanted. Everything you deserve.
It's the gameplay section that I booted up. When I booted that bitch up, I said, oh. The first thing I said to myself, I should have got this on PC. You know what I mean? It's very rare that I get a game on console and I wish I got it on PC instead. Because I just, like, when I booted it up, I'm telling you, I thought it was available on last generation. So I got it on the base vanilla PS5. So I went, they have a performance mode and a quality mode. Put it back on quality. Ooh. I see the dookie. I see, ooh. So when I looked at it, I had it on performance mode and I was like, ooh, man, what does quality mode look like? Well, I turned that bitch on quality mode, but that frame rate said, and it went down like 30. That's how I felt. I can't verify it. This is not, what's that website? What's that YouTube channel? This is not Digital Foundry in this bitch. I don't know. I'm just saying, I immediately saw the difference. I said, ooh, and put it back on performance mode, and I just played out with it. The graphics aren't anything that are going to wow you, but it's not anything that's going to be game breaking. But you will experience random texture pops. The easiest way for me to explain to you what's going on is if you play the Assassin's Creed games once we got to the PS4, those are the ones that are regarded as like not optimized and stuff like that. Sometimes you will see NPCs walking, like a woman and her dress will just pop like that. You will see that on this game, or at least I did. All over the place, the entire game, from start to finish. I mean, it's not everywhere you look, but it's a pretty frequent occurrence, I will say. I did have one instance where I fell through the goddamn floor. Of course. I probably shouldn't walk in here either. Look at this shit. All I'm trying to do is get the newspapers that's sitting right here. I'm gonna risk it. Graphics are cool. Cutscenes look great. The rest of the gameplay, though, it looks like it should be available for PS4 because it's not really, it's nothing crazy. But sometimes, I ain't gonna lie, sometimes the graphics look straight ass. It just really depends on the scenery. Gameplay. All right, this is gonna be a big deal for some people. From the cinematic side, they did a phenomenal job. One of the best stories told all year, from start to finish. Great character development. The ending, you will have emotions. Anytime a game makes you feel emotions about stuff going on, that means there's good writing, good storytelling. And we've been playing games and watching movies and TV shows long enough. A lot of times you know what's going to happen in the story, but I'm more interested in how they got there. You know what I mean? Anytime there's games, movies, TV shows where it's a prequel, you already know how it ends, but how did we get here? So they did a good job with that. Gameplay wise, the game is not really anything like super special. So you have a stealth section. There's a lot of stealth. It's very prevalent in the game. It's very bare bones, very basic. I have a lot of criticisms with the entire video game industry as a whole because stealth seems to be a lost fucking art in video games. And we go back to PS1 and PS2 and they have better stealth mechanics and better AI than they do in these games today. I don't know what happened, but with all the new technology and all the new possibilities, I don't feel like the industry has ever really took us, they've not really progressed in terms of stealth mechanics on games. On this game, the stealth is pretty easy for the most part. You have ways that you can distract enemies. You can throw a coin, and then enemies will go investigate. But one of the things I noticed, there's a couple things I noticed about the stealth. For one thing, you rarely ever run into two enemies. And every time there's two enemies that are like standing together and they're chatting, they're going to have a little discussion, and then one of the enemies will walk away. So you don't really ever have to figure out, damn, how am I going to take down 2 or 3 enemies in close proximity? The game doesn't really do that to you too much. If you see enemies bunched up together, just get a little close to them. They'll have a conversation. One of the guys will basically start his little route. He'll leave and leaving you free to attack the other people. Typically, the stealth sections don't really have more than maybe 6-7 people at the most, typically, with some exception. And the AI is not that smart. You can get away with kind of being in their line of sight for probably longer than you would expect before they react to it. There are perks in the game. They're called charms, and they do have like little badges, little buffs. One of them might give you more money when you take an enemy down. One of them may make it easier to take enemies down. One of them makes your gun more accurate. Just stuff like that. You can, I think, have 3-4 charms at a time. I don't remember. I never upgraded my charms, so I only used 2, I think, the entire game. There are various different, I think there's 4 different knife categories or tiers, and in that there's different levels in there. The knives do different stuff. The one knife you can throw and get stealth kills with. Another knife you can do instant kills if you're in straight up combat. And then you have another knife, I believe, that's just more durable than the rest. And as well, like I said, there's other perks in that if you want to consider that. Now, we talked about the stealth. The shooting mechanics are really basic. Basic cover system. I mean, we're talking, there's nothing new and innovative about it. If you've played like a Gears of War has a really good cover system. This game is just really kind of basic. The shooting, I will tell you, the gun does have some idle sway, which you're going to find. I'm playing on hard. The pistols they can be powerful, but like your crosshair is this big when you ADS. And if you want to be accurate and get headshots, you have to wait for it to shrink. That takes a little bit of time for it to shrink so you're sure more accurate. In that time, the computer will shoot you a couple times. If you're playing on hard, you will notice it can get a little frustrating if you're using a pistol trying to get headshots to get those kills. So you use a pistol if you have to. They do have a kind of a decent selection of weapons. There's some really good snipers, some great shotguns, and then there's some just some like DLC or weapon drop, some rare drop weapons rather. There is nothing really special or innovative in terms of gameplay. There's nothing that made me feel like I need to turn the game off, but there's also nothing that's like super innovative. I think they put most of their resources and their creativity into the story, character development, gameplay, not so much. You do have these race sections. So Mafia Definitive Edition, which is phenomenal, by the way. They have that race on there. I lost my mind. It was hard as fuck. They don't have anything like that on this. There's a horse race and there is a car race that are important to the story, but it feels kind of scripted. And what I mean by that is like I feel like the game helps you. So it's kind of hard to not win on the first or second try on there. As far as side quests and stuff, I'm going to address the community a little bit later. There are no side quests. There are no activities. Okay? You can't go gambling. You can't, like, there's none of that on here. It's really a linear chapter-based experience, and you can't really deviate too much from that. If you pull up the map, you'll see there's a lot of open space. You can drive around if you wanted some free roam. I only did that to get collectibles for the most part, but it is literally a chapter-based thing, which makes me wonder, like, with the criticisms for Mafia 3, did they just try to make it more like the OG Mafia 1 and 2 games and take it back to that? Because those are linear. Yes, you can walk around the city and go into a barbershop or a bar or whatever, but there's not side quests on those either. You know what I mean? But yeah, as far as gameplay goes, I mean, that's really kind of all there is to it. How dare I forget this? I'm sorry. The knife fights are a ginormous part of this game. Knife duels, the game, and the knife duel's coming.
Il Merlo misses you. I think I'll give him a little piece.
Enzo! Get back!
You better get a little piece of that Dennis, my boy. Your teeth is fucked up. There's no combos. There's a parry system, which I'm sure some people like. They have the parries, but then there's heavy attacks that the enemy will do to you that you can't parry. Also, the enemy every once in a while will pick up some dirt, throw it in your face. They'll do shit that you can't do. But the knife, I'm telling you, some of y'all might like it, some of y'all might hate it. It just really depends on who you are. The knife, it's really a big part of the story as well. There's going to be, definitely chapters where you're going to end the chapter with a knife battle, and they're all formatted the same way. In terms of like gore and things like that, not not really. I mean, there's a little, but it's not like there's nothing really brutal. There's like maybe 2 things where I was like, oh my god, that's really late in the game. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for gameplay. Feel free to ask questions below.
A new world is upon us, Enzo. And I'll need men like you by my side.
Things I wish I maybe knew. For one thing, I'm gonna just tell y'all, when you're driving, there are these posts that show up on the road that point in the direction you're supposed to go. If you do not pay attention, like I do, if you're like me, you don't pay attention all the time, you're not going to notice that's there. You're going to find yourself pausing the game a lot to make sure you're headed in the right direction. You don't necessarily need to do that if you just follow the signposts. They literally point you to where you're supposed to go to help you get from one place to another. Also, I was playing the whole game wishing that I could like shoot some explosives to kill enemies. I didn't think they had them. I got basically to the last chapter and realized that they actually do have those. But the problem is, I don't know if they have those earlier in the game or not. What they do have is guards will carry around lanterns. What I didn't know until the last chapter is if you pick up a lantern, you can throw it and set enemies on fire. So do keep that in mind. Other than that, the game is pretty straightforward as far as what you need to do. How do you do with grenades, buddy?
Empty, reloading.
Dead. Don't tell me the last one left. I was about to say. Blow him up.
He's dead. Then there's only one left.
Now, in terms of the other games in the franchise, this is where it can get. This is where you want to hear a lot of different opinions. For me personally, my favorite, I'm not saying best, I'm saying my favorite, Mafia 2 is number 1. I fucking love Mafia Definitive Edition though. That is an industry standard for how you do a remake. That's one of the games that I look at and I'm like, that's how you do a remake. I have that at number 2. I was very impressed because I think they remade the first Mafia with the Mafia 2 engine. They came in and had their voices redone. They even made some of the cutscenes more cinematic and better with the new technology. Amazing. I just loved it all, completely start to finish. Mafia 3 is where shit went a little left, man. Like they like the main story, the main missions were good. The mocap was great and all that stuff. But going to all those districts and holding up a guy to get information to unlock the main story really hurt that game. There's things about Mafia 3 that I like better. And there's things about the old country I like better. The old country, certainly for me, if you were to ask for my recommendation, if you never play Mafia, I would tell you to play Mafia 1 and then, Mafia 2 in the Definitive Edition. I would tell you to play those first before you commit to a $50 price point on this. But I can't in good faith put this better than Mafia 1 Definitive Edition or Mafia 2. The OG game that y'all introduced me to back in 2012. I'm just being honest.
Oh, you're not gonna need that, sir. The tires are just fine. His grill's a little bent up is all. I mean, I got a cousin I
All right, what did I like overall? I love story's great character development, really good soundtrack. Also, I will warn y'all that the pacing is a little slow in the beginning. Once you get past that, though, every chapter is really immersive. They do a really good job, especially, not kind of dragging the story out with each chapter. Each chapter was about 30 minutes for me, 30 to 40 minutes, 45 or so. And by the time you get to the end, it's just like you really hit a high note at the end of every chapter that has you looking forward to the story, in order to get to the next one. So I think that's pretty much it for like what I like. I mean, obviously I love that there's no microtransactions. I love that the game's not, again, overly long, but yeah. Close. We're close. Get out of the way, bitch. Okay, dislikes. This is a big one, okay? And I don't care what anybody says. All right, it's better to have something and not use it than to not have it at all. The game really would have benefited from being able to set waypoints. I don't care what the game is. I truly don't. When I pause my game, if there is a sizable map, I want to be able to mark a waypoint and then go where I'm supposed to go. For a game that has collectibles where you can get stuff that earns you money, there's newspapers, there's photographs, there's foxes, and other stuff, it is frustrating where you have to keep pausing the game to see if you're turned in the correct direction to walk or drive or take your horse. The waypoint systems in games, it just makes it easier so that when you unpause the game, you have like a little marker on your map and then that's where it goes. It's an industry standard. I don't know why games sometimes don't have it. Another time where I complained that a game didn't have something, some people said we was wildin', was Black Myth Wukong. I played and platinum that game start to finish with no fucking map. I said the game needed a map. Oh, you ain't gonna need no map. Use a bitch. They added a map. It's not always a need, but it would benefit from it. They added a map with a patch. So by the time right after I beat the game, people get to play at a map. Because I often find myself getting lost on there. And with Mafia, you're going to find yourself pausing the game. And like I told you before, if you're driving or riding your horse somewhere intentional, pay attention to those signs that are, all on the roads as you drive. It'll tell you where to go. Now, as far as the world itself, I'm gonna be honest, the game doesn't benefit from it the way it is. And this isn't just exclusive to this Mafia game, but it seems less lifelike outside of your town than the other ones. Like Ricky had pointed out, I don't even think we've seen an animal. I could be wrong. And while it doesn't affect gameplay, immersion is very important. So when there's stuff that, takes you out of it, it affects the game. So I played a game in 2018 called Gun. And then Red Dead Revolver, I played that as well. And in between those chapters, you return to your town. And, this game would have benefited from just keeping that. So if you're not going to actually have things in the world, then I think maybe they should cut it down. Because what it is just a bunch of open space and stuff like that for you to drive. It doesn't really do anything. You're not, you don't find yourself wanting to explore it. Like maybe you would on a Red Dead Redemption 2 or even on the other Mafia games. The cities seem way more alive on Mafia 2 especially. And while, like I said, you can't go and do side quests and stuff, you can still drive around, go see the bitches, little stuff like that. See other cars on the road. There is not really much of that on here. So it's just like this big thing, and it's not really necessary for the linear experience if you're going to come back to your town anyway. But that's just me. I don't think it actually needs it. Other than that, I didn't really have very many strong dislikes. I was a little salty about one of the characters that died though.
Fighi puttana! Fuga minchia!
All right, we have to address some of the stuff. Okay, this is important. All right, I'm tired of the new dudes, bro. And I'm sure y'all are too. Because based off of some people's comments on Reddit, on Twitter, or whatever, yo, the shit that they be talking about, it don't even apply. Have some of these people ever even played a Mafia game? They're saying Mafia is a scam because it's only 8 to 12 hours. How? I don't want 40, 50, 100 hours on every game I play because it's usually not quality. Every game is not Hogwarts Legacy. Every game is not Elden Ring. Every game is not Expedition 33. Every game is not Persona. Those are Yakuza. Those are 5 games that do an open world that is really good, with tons to do, great side quests and all that stuff. See, they tried to do the side quest stuff for Mafia 3, and you see where that got us. So, like, people saying that there was never side quests, and I'm not saying that they can't add side quests. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they tried it. It didn't work out. But, like, people saying that the game is a scam because it's only 8 to 12 hours and there's no side quests and stuff, it's ridiculous because the other game was regarded as classic games, and they were all around the same length. I don't understand it, bro. Now, would I like maybe to be able to gamble, race a horse? Possibly. But do I want it to add an extra 50 hours, 20 hours to the game? Not really. I'm really at a point now where I play RPGs, but I need smaller games that I can just pick up, beat in a day or two, and then go to the next one. Because the reality is, a lot of companies don't respect our time. They just don't. They don't. They don't respect our time, which is why, you know, when it's Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the game's too long. And it was way too long. That game could have been, that game should have been 24 hours, 16 to 24 hours. Told the story, and I would have had a blast, just like the old Assassin's Creed games, right? But, you know, they'll say that's too long and it's slop or whatever, but then they'll say this is a scam. I don't agree with that. This is historically how the games are. This whole conversation about 12, 15-hour games being too short, this is relatively new, speaking in terms of games. This isn't a conversation I started seeing until the PS4. And part of that is, you know, everybody's playing multiplayer games where you spend $60 and you get 200 hours. But, like, in terms of single-player games, most of the games, for years and years and years that were not RPGs, were 8 to 15 hours. Classic games that everybody loves. Most games were not overly long like this. For whatever reason. It could have been technical limitations. I don't know. But I did, like, some of y'all didn't play the game. And y'all complaining about a franchise that you were never going to pick up anyway. Boys is killing me with that shit.
It's nothing. I'm sorry. I'm happy for you. You've done well, Enzo. Really. Now, on to serious business.
Ladies!
Final recommendation. If you... Did I say this already? I hope not. I might have. If you like... If you've never played Mafia, hold your money. Buy Mafia Definitive Edition. Buy Mafia 2 Remaster. Play those first. See if you like them. Then play this. If you do like the other Mafia games, I think you'll like this game. Especially if you're a guy who likes to sit back and the story is really the selling point. Other than that, I don't know what to tell you, bruh. You know, it's not, I don't have it. It's not one of my favorite games of the year. Because I'm telling you right now, boy, that Expedition 33, that shit. Just one of the games. That shit talking to me, baby. That's that game right there, bro. Overall though, I liked it. I really enjoyed it. Love the last few chapters for real though. Boys, they had me on the edge of my seat, man. They did an amazing job. Whoever those writers are, very talented, man. Very talented. All right, until next time. Peace, y'all. Thanks for watching.